Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Under Hood Show. I guess maybe we could have a little music, huh?
No countdown, just
No countdown, just some music. Let's get things fired up this morning. It's Saturday morning. It's sunshine and 70, but it's not here in Wichita, right, Josh?
Sunny and 70.
Just not here in Wichita, but it is somewhere. I promise you, it's sunny and 70 somewhere. So, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Under Hood Show presented by Mel Hambelton Ford. It's a beautiful Saturday morning out there in the Wichita area and wherever else you're listening from. So, thanks for tuning in and everything else. Listen to us and talk about your car, anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, anything that's not you don't understand or whatever. It's only showing no, you get paid to call in on. And it's an easy call, 316-462-3673. And Josh, we don't have that number up on the screen.
Let's get it up there. I'll make that.
I'll get that up there real quick. That number comes right into the front desk. Tell the girls you want to get passed into the podcast, and we'll get you passed in here with your question. And it's a great price package, and we still have to check that value because I think it's more than $130 today with the way prices have went and everything else too. But as Josh is still trying to figure that out, and I think there it is.
Got it. Just like that.
There's the number. Ta-da! Magic. So anyway, 316-462-3673, main line to the dealership. Tell the girls you want to get past in the podcast. You get a great price package, about over $130 for each and every call. Only showing you get paid to call in. Josh, as always, what's in that package?
So we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Mel Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're going to talk about the multi-point inspection today. So is one of the things on the list of things that I've got to talk about. But we're going to complete a multi-point inspection on that vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components on that vehicle. Just make sure that it's geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive yourself $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer. And then a BG products package, which consists of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. So
anyway, 316-462-3673. Morning, Jeff. Kind of been vacant for the last couple of weeks, Jeff. What's happening? You okay? Hope you're okay. So thanks for joining us. Jeremy Kane, morning, Phil. How did 3-Team J do last night? Well, we did all right. Went to Salina, and first opening night of Salina was a great turnout. Had a great car count. Had a great crowd. Looked very, very good and everything else too. And Jake started. What did he start? 5th in the heat, or 6th? I don't know. 5th or 6th? I don't know. Something like that. Got 2nd in the heat, and did the lovely computer redraw and got 7th and drove her up to 2nd.
Computer redraw.
So no luck. No advantage, just do the computer redraw to redraw her up and go. You have to do something the first race of the season before you get a points average to know how you're going to invert and all that kind of stuff too. So anyway, got 2nd place last night, and Dakota Sproul won it in the A-Mod class up there at Salina. So when I will tell you, Josh, was kind of disappointed last year in some of the track condition stuff, but they had a great track last night. Just a little late. We had some issues with the lights and stuff, which is not beyond anybody's control and everything else too. But
happens.
Had a great track. Had a fantastic track to race on and stuff. Nice and smooth and good. So, Chuck Fairchild is taking that track over and kind of doing the same thing we're doing at Salt City. So it'll be interesting to see how everything keeps progressing at Salina and also at Salt City. So it was a great night for Team 3J for sure. So
yeah, I don't know. We need to figure something out on your drawing abilities.
I know. You're telling me.
I don't. I mean, I'm blown away every time. Just every once in a while, you get a good draw, but for the most part, man.
Yeah, it just that's why I told Kyler over to Hutch we're going to start doing some qualifying. I this redraw thing drives me crazy. I know there's always ways to do this and everything else too. Different ways and stuff from that part, but man, I am just I mean,
let me ask you this. So from a racer's perspective, is it different from a fan perspective? So do you get a better show one way or the other? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I understand. I think that, to see the guys come once you get a points average, and if you're first, you're going to start 10th on the feature as long as you get in your top 5 of your heat. So does it give a good show to watch that guy that's in 10th got to drive through the field and do that kind of thing? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
From that part. from that standpoint. What's like to say the first couple shows at each track, you got to do a luck drill. It's more luck than it
Yeah.
is anything. I mean, Jake finished second in his heat.
Just to establish a starting point somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, so it's almost like sometimes the heat doesn't mean a whole lot where you finish from that part. So it's a lot of luck instead of a lot of the preparation. You win your races in the shop in preparing and getting the car ready and having the right setup and everything else too from that part. And again, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's got to be more than one way to race and all that kind of stuff too. It's just kind of hard when you're starting in the back.
Yeah,
And you didn't have no luck to the draw. I would love to see that we had 3 heat races in the modifieds. So I would love to see that the first car that finished first in the first heat race, he gets first. Second heat race, he finishes first, he gets second, and on down through the lineup from that part. And I think it would have been but who knows? Then those guys might have just taken off and had a big deal. But again, Jake and Dakota Sproul he was pretty fast out there too, and the stuff. Jake and Dakota just took off, and they were gone from the rest of the pack anyway too. So
you just have the ability, or just takes away the show for sure. So
yeah. Anyway, enough about racing. We need to talk about some cars, Josh.
We
talked about the multi-point inspection. So
yeah, I do. We're waiting on Gus to put something together here for us. So
all right.
I think we're getting close.
Gus was hanging out with us at Salina last night at the racetrack, Josh.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, and he come in quite handy. Let me tell you.
Really?
Oh yeah, I had a couple computer glitches out there with our stuff and everything. So it was fun to have Gus out there and learning what he was learning all about the heat races and the features and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so Gus hung out with us for quite a while last night until he got the phone call. He said he had to come home. So and it was kind of late anyway. I laid my head on my pillow at 2:53 this morning, everybody. And I'm here ready to go take off the show. So anyway, we're going to talk about the multi-point inspection, which is very crucial in my opinion. It's kind of like going to the doctor. If you go to the doctor and get a checkup and, you don't get everything checked that you want to have checked and know what's going on, what good is that, do you?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, agree with that. So I was wanted to talk about that this morning, run over a couple of things this last week that involve that. So I was trying to get he's on.
He's
here.
working.
He's texting me.
So for those of you, a multi-point inspection years ago was always when we did these. It was a deal that the customers thought, oh, you're just trying to sell us something, and you are right. We are trying to sell you, but what you need. And the other thing about the multi-point inspection, it helps you plan for things that go with your car. Josh is kind of like when you come to me with the used car inspections and you got these tire prices on there. I say, Josh, I just need 4 tires. I don't need 8. It's kind of hard to swallow that, but if you can monitor your tires and watching how they wear and where you're at, guess what? You can plan for knowing when you're going to need the tires. Same difference with the brakes. You can watch those brakes as they start wearing down and knowing what you're going to have to do to when you replace them. And so it's kind of a repair plan as well as a preventative maintenance plan. But again, to get that technician to be a certified technician under your car 3 times a year to inspect it. And Josh, I'll go back to my dad's day working with him. It was the kind of same scenario, just to get the car in the air, just to check it over to see what else you can find. He was doing multi-point inspections back then before there was such thing as a multi-point inspection.
Yeah.
Looking the cars over and all that kind of stuff. And I remember even talking to the customers about it back then, about, what, just let me look at it. Everything back then it was 3,000 miles, 3 months or 3,000 miles. So 4 times a year. And maybe you find something, maybe you don't. Maybe you find a little preventative maintenance deal, maybe you don't. But again, to have someone look it over.
And my biggest thing with them, though, or back then versus now, is I think the general consumer maybe knew more about the car than what they do now. I don't know if that's fair to say, or maybe, you know what I'm saying, maybe rude or not. But, when somebody stopped and got fuel at a fuel station, you would see people check the oil, check the tire pressure.
Trust me, I did a lot.
But I mean, just the actual consumer themselves doing it versus the
Josh,
full service stations.
Josh, I went through the phase of when it went to self-serve.
Yeah.
My dad had put an extra set of pumps back there for the self-serve, and we were all freaking out about that, boy. So we would go out, fill your tank, air the tires up, wash the windows, open the hood up, check the oil, add oil most of the time, add water to the coolant, add water to the battery. And that was every 200 miles.
Yeah,
we did that. Now we go 5,000. Not even thinking about it.
Yeah. Nope. Understand that.
from that part. So Gus is getting close here. It looks
Yeah,
like
I think we're getting.
So what's
Really
going on with this
close.
multi-point you're going to pull up here, Josh? Let's get a
Well,
little teaser here, get everything else too.
yeah. So, I mean, basically, I want to go over the importance of this thing. I mean, you think about driving a vehicle that many miles, and uh, having the vehicle looked over versus not looked over. There's so many different facilities out there that are around to offer a service to you. And my question to the consumers is like, what are you getting, and why do you choose the facility that you go to? A lot of people, I think a lot of consumers really, in some instances, price shop. They're just looking for a value. I think a lot of consumers look at it, don't really even put quite price into the equation, but then they look at it from how fast can I get in and out standpoint. And so they're more worried about the speed of the service. But I guess my point to this is the speed of the service should really be secondary to what's going on, what's happening. I understand everybody's busy, and that the speed of the service does make a huge difference. But what are you getting? What's happening on the backside of this thing?
Well, let's go back to the price versus value. If all you want is the lowest price, guess what? You're going to get what you pay for.
Yeah.
But I'm out there looking for, I'm going to spend the right dollar, but what am I going to get for that value from that part? It's kind of like when you buy a set of tires. I mean, I might buy the cheapest tires, but are they going to wear out half as fast? To what another tire is going to go do to help you? Same difference with brakes. Is there all different levels of type of brake pads you can put on a car? There is.
Yeah.
You can get a set of brake pads. I remember, I haven't heard the ads for a long time. Years ago, I hear ads for brake pads for $10. I mean, you want to put that behind your family and stop with the $10 set of brake pads? But not me. I'm not into that whatsoever from that part. So anyway, Jason Cox, I drive all the way from Augusta. Hey, appreciate that too. I understand. So anyway, so we're getting close here, Gus. We pull this multi-point. So we're going to go through this multi-point inspection.
If he's good, I'm going to go ahead and
it looks like he's probably good.
Well, there should be ours too, but we can we'll do this here. I'll get this one up, and so we can view it on the screen here. Kind of putting Gus under the pressure here, so sorry, Gus. We'll go ahead and pull this up and share it here. So essentially, this is
put that back over now. There you go.
Got it. Okay. So essentially what this is a invoice, or the multi-point inspection and invoice from another service center, which I'm not picking on this specific service center. It's just an example of,
yeah, you are kind of.
Well, okay. of what I'm after.
We grade it out so you can't see who it is. That's fine.
Yeah. But a couple of things that I wanted to point out on this thing is just the level of inspection. So it is kind of hard to see, but essentially this section right here in the center of this thing is what their inspection is. But Phil, I don't know if you can just kind of read maybe just a couple of those items or one row of it or not.
Change the oil, check the air filter, vacuum the floors, additional services NA, fill the differential fluid okay, filled washer fluid added, inflated tires to 35. It looks front and rear to 35. Transfer case not available because probably not a four-wheel drive truck. Of course, it could be an Explorer. Lights okay. Tread depth looks like I'm going to take that 7 front and 7 rear. We changed the oil filter. Wiper blades are okay. We completed a wash exterior windows okay. Filled the transit axle okay. Filled the power steering fluid okay. Oil lever prior to service okay. And front differential NA and serpentine belt okay. And check coolant reservoir okay. Quality inspection. Recommend serpentine belt. Recommend cabin air filter. Recommend coolant replacement. Recommend rear differential. And recommend spark plug service. So this is on a 16 Explorer with 95,000 miles.
I just the level of inspection on this thing blows me away, for one. But then also the price this inspection or to get this inspection completed is another thing that really surprises me. So they did use synthetic oil, but what's your overall toll on that ticket?
$149. So it looks like we got full synthetic oil. We did an oil service, but basically
Yeah.
our works package is what it
It's
is.
an oil change tire rotation.
Yep.
Is what was performed, and then this version of the multi-point inspection. So I think that's like my question is, how about the brakes? What condition are the brakes in?
Yep.
How about your steering and suspension? What condition of are the steering and suspension components? Leaks. Do we have
Is there
any
any
leaks on this thing? And
right?
so just the absolute level of inspection, it blows me away. And then so now I'll flip over here to ours, and then we can I think we can scroll down through there. Actually, so we've got I'll flip up here. Let's see there. I'm missing the over switch there, Gus. So
What are you trying to do?
there should be an over button, and I'm missing it. We'll come back off of that.
I think he just put it up on the screen is what he did.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is our inspection report, right?
Yeah, it is.
Who's that? Josh Michael Prophet. Who's that?
Well, so this is actually an older one of mine. Sorry, I'll let you drive here. Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
So this is an older vehicle of mine, but our inspection is still the same, or still does the same. And essentially, it's like a 173-point inspection is what we're looking at here. Now, length of time, is there going to be a difference in these two inspections?
Guaranteed.
Certainly there is.
Guaranteed.
Going to be a huge difference. So let's I'm going to get this call coming through here.
Yeah, get the call, Gus. Keep working on that while you're doing that. Looks like Jeff Daniels got a recall on his 22 Bronco Sport for his daughter that we sold him. Something about injector failures, Josh. I'm not up to speed on that one, so I'll have to let you kind of top into that and get Jeff. Maybe we get this call and we can come back to Jeff's question on what's going on with that 22 Bronco Sport.
So here we've kind of scrolled down just a little bit on it, but again, some more inspection items that are being performed. But I guess my point with this is, okay, the length of time that it's going to take to complete this service. Is there going to be a difference? Yeah, there's going to be a huge difference in what it takes to do this. And as a consumer, the way these vehicles are designed now versus how they were years ago, with all the undershields that are on these things and everything like that, like you may not even know you have a problem until it's too late to have a problem.
Right.
And I'll go into a little bit further with this Explorer and explain kind of the situation that these individuals had. But essentially, they purchased this vehicle, or have had the vehicle for quite some time. They ended up purchasing an extended warranty to cover themselves, and that was about a year previously. Here, let's go to the phones. Let's talk to John, and then we'll come back to this. So, good morning, John. You're on live with Under the Hood.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, I have a kind of a strange question. Okay. My wife's got a 2006 Nissan Murano, and the tag lights are not operational. I'll turn the headlights on. Every light comes on, every marker light comes on except those tag lights, and I have no idea where I need to look. So I just thought I'd pick your guys' brains for it. I've checked fuses. I've checked everything that I possibly know, and I don't know if there's something dealing with that type of vehicle, if it was a noted recall or a fluke or something. But I just I need somebody that has a little more knowledge of things like that. And so I thought I'd just take a chance and call you guys.
No, appreciate the call. And I'm going to tell you, the first thing that's come to my mind, you got a broken wire back there in the bumper. It's the first thing I'm going to come up with, since both of them are out. I mean, Could it be that both bulbs are bad? I mean, yeah, it could be,
That's
but very,
so
very rare.
that's the very first thing I would check.
Well, I
is
know it would be the
both-
very
both
first thing I would
bulbs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I forgot. I did check the bulbs too,
Yeah.
and the bulbs are fine.
The bulbs are okay. And then I was trying to remember in that Murano, is it in the bumper or is it in the trunk? It's in the trunk, isn't it?
The hatch. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
the
Yes,
hatch
sir. When you
portion of
open
it.
up the yes, sir.
So and that's there's no other like tail lights or anything like that in that hatch, right? It's just the tag lights that are in that thing.
Yes, sir. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you that probably in the pinch point of where that wire harness flexes when you open that hatch, I'm going to say that wire is probably damaged in there just from the multiple times of opening and closing and everything like that. I would say that it's probably broken there. Would be one of the places that I would start to look for sure. And then, from there, it's just a matter of pulling out a wiring diagram and breaking down the circuit and trying to find where you've lost that power at.
Well, that's a matter of you guys.
Yeah.
That's a little out of my pay grade.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, what we're going to do for you too, John, we're going to throw a diagnostic on your package at no charge. We'll diagnose that truck for you and figure out what's going on, because you know what? I'd hate for you to get a ticket from a cop because you don't have your tag light on. I don't know if many of them would do
that's
that.
already happened.
Oh, it already happened.
Nope,
Oh, shoot. Sorry about that.
Already happened, and I've checked bulbs, and like I said, checked fuses. Already happened.
All right. Well, when we get done with the show here, we'll give you a call and get you something scheduled up here so we can get you in and take a look at that. But I'm with Josh. We're going to find it in that hatch or whatever. We're going to find a broken wire with that weld where those pinch God, I can't speak here. Where that thing keeps. Oh, every time you open, it's going to bend those wires in there.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
We'll get you a call.
Well, yes,
after the show.
I definitely appreciate you guys doing that and maybe pinpointing that for me. I really do appreciate that.
No problem at all, buddy. We'll get you fixed up so you can get the police off your, off your rear end, off your car.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Thanks for the call.
All right. Appreciate what you guys do.
Hey, thanks, man.
Thanks.
All right, 316-462-3673. Anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, you get the great price package, about over $130. But guess what? You might even get
a free
diagnostics
diagnosis
out of the deal too.
Out of the deal.
So anyway, do we want to move back to the multi-point, or let's talk about Jeff's question he's got on his 22 Bronco?
Okay, so let's see. Received a recall, 22 Broncos. So yes, so basically what they're after, there's a recalibration for this thing, but then also there's an inspection of the fuel rail and injector on these things, but the percentage of failure is extremely minute. I mean, it's like less than 1%. And so much like many other recalls, they're definitely overcautious on this deal, and they're inspecting, way more than I feel that they probably need to. But the large majority of them are just going to come up with the inspection portion of it is what it amounts to. So my questions are seeing the injectors fair.
So what is a recall? Just a reflash to start with?
Well, so it's essentially a inspection is what it amounts to. And the majority of them are the inspection and then a reflash. And that, for the most part, takes care of it. In fact, I don't know is that we even run across one that needed a actual component replacement at this point.
So just an update into the computer is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jeff, I hope that answers your question. And if not, we can talk to you after the show too to get more details if we need to for you, buddy. And then if you feel comfortable, because I know you're clear down in Arkansas, if you feel comfortable with that, or we want to wait till of course, I don't know. I think you probably ought to get it to the Ford dealer close since you're that far away from us, Jeff, and have them take a look at it. Then keep us advised on what they're telling you, where we're at, and what you need to do.
What the deal is.
Doing a flash update should be pretty simple.
The rate of failure is very, very slim on those things for sure.
Yep. So anyway, back to the multi-point.
Yeah,
you kind of got through it, and we're going through one of your inspections, and that's what there's some color here, but let's go through ours a little bit deeper. We kind of went through the one here from that other repair shop that was very, I'm going to say, generic.
Yes. Yeah.
Our multi-points are something more in depth.
In the previous multi-point, it was really more about, hey, did you top off all the fluids type deal? And that's as far as an actual inspection of items, there really wasn't a whole lot there. I mean, we didn't even look at brakes, right? I mean,
No.
they've got lights down there, they've got tread depth down there, but even on
But
the
they have tread depth of front
yeah,
and rear.
yeah.
Let's go to ours for a minute. We check each tire. And the reason we do that is
So we'll go to
because
the next
because
page
does
here.
a front and rear wear the same? Not always. Can they? Yeah. Can they sometimes, but sometimes not? No, they cannot always. So we're checking all 4 tires.
So right here you have, I mean, this whole section right here is nothing but tread depth.
Yeah.
On this thing. And then you go down to brakes and you've got that whole section there is nothing but the brakes portion of your vehicle. I just as far as the in-depth portion of this, it's so much greater. So where I was headed with this is this person purchased an extended warranty several thousand miles before this service even took place. Then they have this service, and then after this service, shortly after this service, they had a mechanical repair fail. So I had a turbo fail, and then it leaked a large quantity of oil into the intake of the vehicle. And the extended warranty company is denying the claim because they believe that the customer drove that vehicle many miles, broken, basically, that
And did more
caused
damage.
that caused extended damage. Um, and I really do truly believe that if the multi-point inspection that they paid for at this other facility was more thorough, a little more complete, that I believe the extended warranty then wouldn't have that leg to stand on, because me looking at it from the experience that we have in the shop and what we see, like I really don't believe that they drove this vehicle for a large amount of miles with it being damaged. Um, and again, I think if this multi-point inspection would have been a more complete or thorough inspection and give them proof, I even think of our videoed inspections that we perform here at the main shop for the consumers. Having documentation or something like that uh, would have gone a large way in proving
Well,
this information.
yeah, and I'm going to go through this. They charge them $149,
Mhm.
including tax and everything. I don't know what all this discount of $30 and all that everything else is in there for a full synthetic. The old deal of the dealerships are more expensive than the independents. Well, there's a proof that's almost double
Mhm.
what our service would have been with a thorough multi-point inspection. But here's the next thing I got. They spent a bunch of money, I promise you, to buy an extended warranty. And since they didn't get a proper preventative maintenance or a maintenance schedule done, an inspection done on it, now the warranty company's denying it, saying they drove the car longer and did more damage and don't want to pay.
Yeah.
You got a double-edged sword there with this situation from that part. If we'd have been in our shop doing that stuff, you'd have paid half the money or almost half the money, and you'd have got a thorough inspection. We'd have known about the leak or whatever they were having in time to save that. So now they spent money and can't get the thing fixed.
Yeah.
I guess you can call and argue with the warranty company or whatever, but they kind of got a leg to stand on. If you drove it a long time without any inspection, and this multi-point inspection you presented to them, it doesn't show that you really did anything, did whatever. So you get what you pay for. But this is still my proof. I mean, I know back in date myself in the 80s, yeah, were dealerships more expensive than independents? Yeah, and here's why is because what the manufacturers did, not just GM, not just Chevy, not just Ford, everybody's manufacturer did this, that if you had a warranty dollar rate and say it was $30 an hour back then, every repair you did for a consumer had to be at that $30 an hour. Well, we can't charge the same amount per hour to change your oil as we do a high-end diagnostic deal.
Yeah.
So finally, the manufacturers released that demand that they had to charge that hourly rate. And they'd come in and Josh, they'd come in and audit your ROs and see that you were charging the same that you were paying for that warranty repair, that they were paying you for the warranty repair, that you were charging the consumer for that. And that's where that money went up so high. So now that they've relaxed that and everything else like that, we've got our variable labor rates and we are so competitive. And here's a perfect example about being competitive. And now we're there it is they had $149 to do that service. and got a terrible inspection, and now they've got a double-edged sword coming out here with their warning. Who's cheaper again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I argue that all day long and everything else too. From that standpoint, you get what you pay for, and it's just one of those deals that you got to be careful where you go, careful where you take your car. And hey, do we make mistakes? Yeah, but you know what? When we make one, we're going to take care of it. We're going to stand behind it.
Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to point out, and I didn't have time to show this at the bottom of that inspection, but in the bottom of their invoice, it states on that invoice that if you've had wheel, tire, or brake repairs done, to return the vehicle in 50 miles to have the wheels retorqued.
Wow.
So what are they doing? What are they doing there by when they say that?
Hate to tell you what I think they're doing there. They're trying to double check their work again.
That's called CYA, right?
Yeah. We
you
told
know,
you to bring it back and you didn't. Well,
Yeah.
okay, and your wheel fell off. Okay.
Yeah. And I can't think of, I mean, in aftermarket applications, there may be a retorque involved, but I've never seen in a factory manual with factory wheels that you have to retorque the wheels after
50 miles.
After 50 miles. And so again, that's there's a potential that we could have left something loose, and we want to make sure that it gets back in here. And then if you don't bring it back, then the liability or obligation falls on the consumer. Like, I just don't think that's fair,
Oh yeah, I'm with you on that too, Josh. It's not fair. It's not whatever. But again, you got to trust who you go to work for, who you take your car to for service. You got to trust them what they're going to do for you, and know that they're here to work with you. But that's a perfect prime example. Almost double for the service. A terrible inspection, at my point. I'll call it out any day of the week. I want to kind of call that out, but that is a terrible inspection. And now they've got $1 spent on a warning, and now they got repairs that the warning company won't take care of because they didn't get a quality inspection done by the repair shop. So,
yep.
Anyway, Jeremy, got an oil plug in a vehicle that I can't get to come loose. Had oil change done in Wichita, and now it's stuck, and I don't want to strip it out. Oh, that is a tough one. Seen a lot of those too over my time, man, and everything else too from that part.
So one of the things right off the bat is and don't take this the wrong way, but are we using the right tool? Is it a metric drain plug and we're using a standard size socket? That type of thing. Are we using a 12-point socket and it needs a 6-point socket? Stuff like that. I would want to make sure.
Well, or did the shop before maybe round her off just a little bit too,
just
before they put it back in.
Use a worn out. You would be amazed at the difference between a worn out socket and one that's fresh and new and right out of the box. And I've seen differences in quality tools versus not quality tools from that side of it too.
All right, here's next. With my youth drivers, if the car doesn't say something's wrong, they just keep on keeping on. We have to use this inspection to help educate them on what they need to do, looking at it regularly rather than they just get it serviced. Good point, Jeff. Good point on that one part too.
Yeah. So I will tell you that I took a couple tours with WSU automotive class out in Goddard here yesterday. Had a morning group and an afternoon group, and we went through the whole facility and the whole dealership. And that's one of the things that, when I am doing a class tour or talking with a class, specifically people that are looking at going into the technician career field, we talk about how, the analogy of sales sells the first vehicle, but then service sells everyone after that. Right.
Yep, agree with that too.
So then I asked them, that person that's changing the oil or doing a simple service, what is the importance of that person versus, say, a senior master technician or somebody that's, completely doing a engine overhaul or a transmission overhaul. And a lot of times, as students, they're thinking, okay, well, that guy's got way more knowledge. He's way more valuable, stuff like that. But I try to explain to him, there's really there's difference in education and knowledge, but as far as character and doing the right thing and the work that they're doing, it holds a lot of the same value. And we talk about the multi-point inspection all the time as part of that. And I said that's the most valuable service, or the most important service that you'll do on a car, and you do that at an entry level position, just because that customer has to be able to trust that what you're telling them is the truth. If they come in one time and we've got 7 30 seconds of tread, and then they come in 5,000 miles later and you've got now 9 30 seconds of tread,
Credibility's gone.
that customer is not going to believe or trust what you're telling them. I said the next thing is you come in and you tell them that their brakes are at 4 mm and they're okay, and they go on a road trip and they're in St. Louis and it starts growling and grinding, and they have to go to a repair facility and
Find out the brakes are done, and you didn't
metal
tell
to
them.
metal, and we didn't tell them. Like, we've lost our credibility. That customer is gone. And
Yeah.
so really trying to explain the value of what this multi-point inspection is. And the other thing we talk about too is, tires and the expense of tires and how much they are. When you're spending $800-900 for a set of tires, not every consumer can just throw that kind of money out right now today. And so when you're able to come in and see those diminish, and well ahead of time, so that when it's time to actually put them on the vehicle, you're financially ready for them. I mean, that's huge to be able to give a consumer that type of confidence.
Yep. Anyway, Jeremy Kane's coming back about the drain plug again, and he thinks they use the 3/8 impact to put it on too tight. Best advice for you to getting it out with the old one. Well, first thing is the drain plug not rounded off at all? Is it nice, perfectly square? And if it's a 6-point, you need to get a 6-point socket on that thing. And really, honestly, an impact is probably not the best idea, but a 6-point, good quality socket with some good leverage on that thing to get that drain plug out is what I would try, Jeremy. I would not put an impact on the thing, because luckily you vibrate the pan or something.
Well, and so the other thing is to remove it. If it's initially tight, but then loosens once it loosens, it spins freely. That's one scenario. If it loosens very hard, but then once it's broke loose, continues to be tight to come out, that's when you're doing damage to that's when you're going to be doing damage to the threads for sure. So as far as the initial amount of effort that it takes to pull that plug out, if it takes a little more, then you have the potential of it, maybe cracking the bolt or whatever. But if it does come out okay, once it comes out, I would just replace it with another drain plug.
And Jeremy says it's new last year. I get it's new last year, Jeremy, but when they put it in, do they round the edges off, or what do they do, or whatever?
Yeah.
Did the gasket, did they use a metal gasket and did it bind into the threads or something, or anything else too that bound into that pan? I mean, there's a lot of,
you see copper washers, you see metal washers, you see felt ones, what's behind it.
Yeah. So if the plug's still in good shape, make sure you get a 6-point socket on it, Jeremy, a good quality socket. I would get me a 3/8 drive ratchet with a 6-point short socket on that drain plug is what I would get on there to try to get it the bust loosed.
And the main thing is just making sure that you're using the right size. If it's metric, you need to be using metric. If it's standard, you need to be using standard for sure.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, hey, 316-462-3673. Love to hear from you on anything whatsoever. And we think we're finished with the multi-point, Josh? We got
we are. I do have some pictures here, and this is just a part of a repair that we've had here in the shop. I can show these up here, but basically this was a vehicle that was brought in. We were working on it, and it had some wheel extenders. So this is a pickup. I'm not even going to say what kind of pickup it was. It wasn't a Ford pickup, but anyways, they put these
fender flares
on it, right? Okay, so they're still using factory wheels and tires, but they wanted the wheels to stick out further. So with these fender flares, we use these wheel extenders.
Stick them out there.
Okay, So this is about a inch and a half, probably maybe 2 inches. And this, all it's doing is moving that wheel out just a little bit further, right?
Yeah, I know already where you're headed with this one because I know what that's going to do. Ooh, got her busted off.
So it drove in like this. The car was not here for this. It came in here like this, but there is 4 of the 6 lug nuts were not even on this tire. So it was held on by 2 tires, or two lug nuts
Yowzer.
on this hub extender.
Yowzer. Oh. Hey, Leonard Vasquez from Colorado. How you doing, buddy? Nice to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in and everything else too. Yes, Jeremy, cheap way to cost me some time. Exactly. And now Rex has got it dialed in there. Race cars, spacers.
So
racer specials, what he should say.
Yeah.
Now, what do I use those on Theme 3J's car? I sure do, but they're on the same set. I got some extra long studs on there to hold them on. When I do, but not, yeah.
But the fact that this was going down the road with 2 lug nuts holding this wheel on, and then I think also, too, with that sticking out there, the extra torque that's on those lug nuts now. I don't know. It's just crazy. It just blows me away. The damage that could have done, or the danger that could have put not only the consumer in this vehicle, but other people on the road in.
The other day I was driving, Josh, and this was probably about 45 days ago. I seen the same thing set in someone's driveway. The fenders, the quarter panel on the bedside of the truck is all damaged up. The wheels laying there beside it and everything else. And they could tell those wheels are stuck out. So that's another example of that. Back again by that same house here just the other day, and it's still sitting there.
Still sitting there.
With that wheel laid off, everything else from that part. You just got to be careful when you do some modifications to your car. There's ways to modify things. There's ways not to modify things. There's a way to do it safely and everything else too from that part. And I can promise you that those, really what happened to that spacer, can that be used and used correctly if it's torqued right, done everything? Possibly. But as we can tell, that one wasn't. So what made those why that got come loose? What made it come loose?
Obviously lack of torque could have been one thing for sure. The other thing, just stress. Maybe if it had extra stress on that that wheel.
And if you take the geometry of that wheel, so here it's sitting here like this, and then you take that center point of that wheel and move it way out here, you're wearing so much more stuff on the inside of that axle, especially on the front.
The load of it is going to change.
You're changing the whole angle of where that pressure's at. And most ball joints, most suspension components can't handle that extra geometry change that makes. And then when you hit a bump and you move it up and down and all that's changing, you start here at an inch and out here you're 6 inches. It's just so much more pressure on components that can't handle
and
that kind of
and
stress.
Rex has a great point there too, is like, what was the load rating of that spacer?
Was
it designed for a pickup? Was it designed for that weight of that truck?
And I promise you that wasn't a stock size tire he had on there too, was it, Josh?
Yeah.
So you're taking that extra mass of tire that you're moving around and weight and rim and everything you're moving. And I admit, Rex might have nailed it right there in the head. That spacer might not have been designed to put on that bigger tire or whatever. It might have been set up there for a stock tire or whatever. Who knows? So that's one thing about I promise you'll never see a spacer like that from a manufacturer, whether it's Ford, Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, whoever. Manufacturers aren't going to do that because they can't get by with that legally, safely, and integrity wise to do that from that part. So now that independent place that built that spacer, do you think they did any crash tests? Think they did any testing to prove what that's going to do or how it's going to work or whatever? Guarantee it didn't happen. That's why we're dealing with what we're dealing there.
Look at that. It fits. Ship it.
Ship it.
One of the things that I guess, and not to circle back to the multi-point inspection, but okay, now that consumer did that, they take it to some place that they don't look at that. They don't go through and inspect the vehicle or see what else is going on. Down the road they go again. And then now you get into a situation, well, I just had my vehicle serviced a little bit ago. And so mentally they think, well, it was in the shop, so they looked over everything, right? Well, maybe they did, maybe they didn't, and so I don't know.
Josh, and that's another thing we got involved with the salespeople this week, talking about our shop and the amount of bays we have and the amount of technicians we have and the certifications You know, every one of our technicians has to have some sort of a certification to work here from that part, not just got a VOTEC school graduate. That's just the very beginning of a tech's job is
Yeah.
coming out of a VOTEC school or whatever. Constantly training, constantly learning, constantly doing everything you can to stay up at everything else too. Uh, you know, we talked about it, I think the national average of a shop of a manufacturer, you usually have about 2 master technicians. We've got over 16 or 17, whatever the number might be, in our shop working on our stuff. So very proud of our technicians, very proud of what they do, and very confident whenever I bring one of my customers' cars in, I know it's going to get taken care of and handled correctly and stuff too. But that little bit of certification, it just proves that you know what you're doing, know what's
Yeah.
happening, to better take care of your car. Not just because I went to VOTEC schools that make me certified to go do. Even like you talked earlier with the crew you were talking to, future technicians and stuff is, you know, quality and knowing what you're doing and getting the right training and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, when I was a brand new tech coming out of the gate, I fought like heck to get training because I knew I needed it and everything else too. And that's back in the 80s. Think
Well,
about today.
and that was a a big topic of discussion too, is just an aftermarket or an independent versus a dealer, and what the differences are in that side of things. And the manufacturer backing is huge,
Yeah.
that type of training.
Well, I said it before, I went to an independent for 1 year, and I knew after getting out of it, being at a dealership for 1 year, I knew I couldn't, there was no training, no nothing. If I went to one training class, an aftermarket class, and all that was a company trying to sell me their parts. They thought they were going to train me that they were just trying to sell me their parts and why their parts were better than everything else too. So that's why I learned very quickly, and I got right back into the dealership. Of course, I got into a dealership, and guess what? It promised me to train me, but didn't and
Well,
wouldn't.
Yeah, and that's was the other thing that we were talking about too, is that uh, a lot of manufacturers just have a shop competency side of things. So somebody in the shop has to be trained. Well, I look at that completely different. You do,
Yeah.
I know you do too. Is that I want everybody to have all the knowledge.
If you're going to
'cause it's
touch
just
somebody's
yeah.
car, you better be, yeah.
And you being in this industry, you definitely have to have the desire to continue to want to grow and learn and accept changes. I think of vehicles that are coming in down the assembly line today, these 24 F-150s and the tech that they have in them versus 10 years ago. It's a night and day difference, and even 10 years before that, I mean, it doesn't even take 10 years. You can take 2 years or a year, and the vehicles change and the options change, and how we communicate with the vehicles is huge. We talked about with these guys too, driving through. One of the things that was brought up is how not necessarily quiet it was in the shop, but their expectation was it was going to be louder. And my explanation for that was years ago. First of all, air tools. I mean, back when I was turning wrenches, there was air tools going everywhere all the time, and we were
Yep.
changing hard components, mechanical components, stuff like that. Well, we've went from air tools to really now battery operated stuff is the way to go. And so you don't, that the noise level of that is different. But then also, not only that, we don't really change mechanical components much anymore. It's modules, and there's programming, and I mean, just the number of vehicles that come in and out of this place that you use a laptop and to fix it and it rolls down the road is, it
I remember you used to be getting made fun of about putting updates in cars.
you were about to
I was a little ahead of my time, wasn't I,
about
Josh?
10 years ahead of your time. That's all I'm saying.
Rex think we're tech nerds. All right, Rex.
No, that is not the case at all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yep, just ahead of your time. That's
all that was. I knew. I just think fast forward thinking what that was. So, hey, anyway, we're about running out of time here. And no, Jeremy, Kyler can tell you that you can't pick on me anymore, but go ahead. It's fine with me. I don't care. If we can't take some teasing a little bit around everywhere else, have a little thick skin every now and then, it's okay. So, tech nerds and are quiet. Yeah. Okay, Rex. Rex doesn't know my horse and buggy story, does he?
Yeah.
He should. From that part. So, anyway, we covered a lot this morning. We talked a lot about the multi-point inspection, and please understand when you come into our quick lane or our main store, we're going to do one. And it's
Yeah.
not just to sell you something. We're here to sell you what you need. We're here to advise you and show you what's going on with your tires, brakes, batteries, everything else on your car, so you can be prepared when you need tires, be prepared when you need brakes, or if you got kind of a seat going on and not be in this customer situation like we got into. They bought it a warranty, and now the warranty companies deny it because they drove it too long with what was going on with the car. Now, do I think that's kind of, excuse my French, chicken what on the warranty company from that part? But again, these warranty companies are doing what they can to figure out a way to not pay for a claim.
Yeah.
Don't give them that opportunity to not give them an example or an excuse not to pay your claim. Have your car inspected every 5,000 miles. Change that oil. It's the best insurance plan you can possibly do. Let us perform that multi-point inspection on your car and watch those fluid levels. We haven't talked about that, monitoring fluid levels and stuff on the color of the fluids, because when the fluids or colors are changing, guess what's happening? That fluid is wearing out from that part. So it needs to be changed and everything else too. So anyway, Jeff, thanks for taking in. You have a great weekend too. And yes, we will be, Jeremy, I don't know where we're going to be in next Saturday. We will be in Hayes. So maybe you're coming to Hayes on that part too to race from that part. So anyway, Josh, we haven't talked a lot about our sponsors and stuff too, as we always kind of forget about those. I'm very sorry about that. But BG Products, a great relationship we have with those guys. And again, talking about keeping your car running many, many more miles. Everything that BG has is going to help you with that. Let our service advisor sit down with you and get a good plan with your fluids and everything else too, to make your car run many, many more miles and keep the value like it needs to be. We have it now where it's into where it's not a depreciating. It is still a depreciating asset. Don't get me wrong, but we still have to protect that investment much more than what you did when these cars were a tenth of the money what they used to be.
Yep.
Big Corner Creative for all your advertising needs. Hey, if you have a company, need some help with that, Jesse has a great crew of people down to help you with any kind of advertising needs you might need. Vehicle wraps, windows tinted, race car wraps, anything to help advertise your business, web page design, whatever. What do they say, Josh?
Just Google us.
Just Google Big Corner Creative. And of course, Go To Rent. Hey, we have got some fantastic cars over there. It's summertime coming. Some great new 12 and 15 passenger vans over there and Go To Rent. A bunch of new vehicles finally coming in. Josh, we're probably going to have 30 or 40 brand new ones hitting sometime in June finally.
Very good.
That we haven't seen in about 3 years from that part. So if you're needing something for a rental car, something bigger to get on vacation or whatever, give Stan a call right inside here at Go To Rent. Everybody have a great Saturday. Stay dry because it's sunny and 70s somewhere. We'll talk to you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Thanks very much, everybody.